I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, we need to talk. It's never a good thing when you hear that statement coming from a girl that you're dating, or the kind of statement where you're trying to plan a date with her and she says, yeah, we should have a chat about all of that. Well, obviously that's what happened to this guy's email I'm about to go through in a second, but I got a great quote that I want to share with you. And because you're going to see some things here in this email where it's just, I did a video a while back called Cognitive Dissonance, Seeing What You Want to See. And kind of in a way, this guy has seen that. It's like there's red flags out all along the way here, and he's completely ignoring them. And a lot of guys do that. Some guys just don't know any better. And some guys see them, but they're like, nah, that's not a red flag. That's not a warning sign. They just keep ignoring it until it's too late. Like Ayn Rand's quote that I love, which is, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. That's another one of my favorite quotes. So this quote is by Stephen Covey, and he said, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. So he says, hey, Coach Corey, I started dating this gorgeous redhead at the end of last November, and we both had crushes on each other in high school, but we were never able to make anything of it. I love redheads. I'm going to tell you one thing, is like all the types of women that you can make love to, redheads are the biggest freaks in the bedroom. They're the most passionate lovers that I've found to date. I've dated several redheaded women, and they're all fucking freaks, but in a good way. So I love redheaded women. I've had several redheaded girlfriends. I'll tell you, man. So he says, this particular girl from his high school, he said, she found me a couple years later on Facebook, and we always kept in touch. In October, she moved back to the area, and as I said, we started seeing each other. Believe it or not, even without reading your book, I did a lot of things very right in the beginning, and our interest level was sky high, though purely by accident, as I see now. Yeah, it's like trying to find the sweet spot. Like I remember when I was younger and I was in my 20s, there were times where I'd meet girls and I was just I was in a mood. I was in a zone, and I'd meet a chick and I'd fucking hook up, and like the next week I'd go out expecting to do the same thing and it wouldn't happen. And I had no idea what I had done right to make that work. I remember one time I was in my early 20s. I had this girl that I'd gone out with. I was really into her, and I just totally fucked up. I actually wrote about this particular girl in the book. And then so I go out, I'm with my friends, and this is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days after, or like a week, I guess, after the last time I had seen her. And so I'm just starting to realize, like, man, I really fucked this up, because she stopped calling me, and she was like calling and texting me every day. And so I'm all bummed, and I run into another buddy of mine. He was actually in my brother's class. And so he was like 3 years younger than me. And so he's with this group of girls. And one of these girls is just really fucking hot. And I was just in like one of those I don't give a fuck moods. And it's like I didn't understand at the time what I did. I understand now what I did looking back on it. But at the time I was clueless. And these things would happen to me. And then I wouldn't be able to duplicate the success because I didn't really know what I was doing wrong. And a big part about being successful with women is just simply not doing things that turn women off. And so in this particular case, I saw this girl, he introduced it to us, we started talking, and within like 15-20 seconds we were fucking making out. We were all over each other. And that wasn't something, it took me like, that was in my early 20s, so it was probably about 11-12 years before I figured out what the hell it was, and I really was able to duplicate that on a continuous basis. And it's just amazing. Like, so like I totally understand where this guy is coming from, is that sometimes you do things right with a girl, and then like when you really start to like her and you really get into it, then it's like you lay down and you become a doormat. You just let her walk all over you, and you're like, okay, whatever you want, and you just pretty much go along with whatever she wants because you just want to make her happy. But if it was a girl you weren't really that into, you'd be like, nah, I don't want to go there. That place sucks. Let's go here. Let's go do something else a lot more fun if we go this way. And a girl would just be like, okay, because she's happy to be with you. But when you're around a girl you really like, okay, and then she starts to see that you're willing to go along with pretty much everything that she wants, and then she starts to see that you're not willing to stand up for yourself, including when it comes to standing up for yourself with her, and when she starts to see that she's able to walk all over you, she starts to lose respect. And when a woman loses respect for a guy, she loses attraction for him as well. So he says, she texted me very often and with nude pics and very sexual things. That's a lot of fun. He says, we had sex a lot, a small blowout at one point because she got flaky and I called her out on it. And she even bought me an amazing gift for Valentine's Day. And see, she got flaky, and it's because her interest was dropping, and you obviously called her out on it, on her BS behavior. But the flaky behavior happened because you were starting to over pursue at this point, and you went from her chasing and pursuing you to you doing more of the chasing and pursuing. And it's amazing. I remember being in that situation so many fucking times when I was in my 20s with girls. Things would start off great, and they would start going right back the other way. The girl would go from, back then we didn't have texting. We had beepers. So I would get my fucking beeper would go off and go, dee, dee, dee. And it would be like 2 in the morning, a girl would be calling me, and I'm all excited. And it went from her beeping me 2 or 3 times a day to a week goes by and I don't hear from her. And it's this is devastating when that shit happens. And so, as a guy, at the time I didn't know any better. So I start chasing, I start pursuing, I start calling her more. And it never went anywhere after that. And I didn't understand that until I got older. And it's knowledge is power, but it's only potential power if you apply it properly. He says, I did, however, make the mistakes of being too available after a while, texting her too much, not using the phone to only set definite dates, and pushing somewhat to be exclusive. That's a big, epic, colossal fuck up. When a guy does that, 99.9% of the time when a guy starts asking to be exclusive, it's way too soon. And it scares the girl because you got to love the other person in such a way that they feel free. And if you've only been out on 2-3 dates and now you want them to commit to be your girlfriend, it's just totally out of sequence. She's not emotionally ready at a point to even do those things. So if the woman's not bringing it up, it just means she's not emotionally ready to do that. So continue to focus on hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. Keeps it really simple that way. He says the weekend after Valentine's Day, an old guy friend of hers visited her for the weekend, and I was 99% sure they hooked up after seeing a thread about it on his Facebook page. Well, I'm sure that was a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, you're not her boyfriend, so it's really none of your fucking business. And besides, if you'd have done things right, you would have been the one going over to her house hooking up instead of this other dude. She's just looking for a guy that's willing to act like a man consistently and not act like a man at the beginning, but then start acting like a little woman, puppy dog in love for the first time. So he says, the thing is, next week I stayed at her house for 2 days, and we basically had a 48-hour sex marathon. Well, that's good. He says, but after that, she became distant and cold, and that combined with knowing she saw this other guy pushed me over the edge into the needy little bitch mode, and I made the mistake again of texting her too much and also posting a sexual innuendo on her Facebook. That's probably not a good idea. I mean, what's her mother going to say when she sees that, Because most guys that are applying this stuff or learning this stuff, that's why I say in my book, it's probably not a good idea that you use sexual innuendo because you're not going to be good at it. And if you're just learning this stuff, you're going to usually say something that's inappropriate at the wrong time, and you're going to totally put your foot in your mouth and blow it. So he says, as a silly and stupid way of letting the other guy know I was fucking her and she was mine. And he says, retarded, I know. So in other words, he posted something on Facebook basically saying, hey, I'm fucking this girl just so everybody knows. That's just definitely not a good way to go. Women like a dude that can keep his mouth shut. And he's not going to blurt it out to everybody. Because the worst thing a woman wants to do is get the slut label from her girlfriends. So he says, a day or so later, I texted her asking her to hang out, and she asked what we would do, and I said, go get some food, hang out, and have hot sex. To which she replied, yeah, we should have a chat about all that. Yeah, that's never a good sign. So he says, I said sure, that I would love to talk to her, and she said that there was nothing to talk about, and then she knew we were on completely different pages. And so in other words, she's thinking have fun, hang out, and hook up, and you're imagining what it's going to be like getting married, where you're going to live. You're probably driving around neighborhoods trying to pick out where you're going to buy a house and all kinds of crazy shit like that. It's way putting the cart before the horse. So he says, I then texted her how wonderful it had been to have been dating her and how I felt we had a strong connection and I wanted to keep seeing her. She never responded but did drop by my work the next day to give me some of my stuff. She touched my arm as soon as she got out of the car and hugged me goodbye but wouldn't kiss me and she didn't have time to talk and left. Like, she wanted to be like, you're done, dude. Your fucking goose is cooked. I'm out of here. She dropped you faster than a bad habit. He says, 2 days later, I see that she posts on Facebook, I'm so glad to be done with those sentimental fucks who think this means that. I have no doubt that she is referencing me, and probably 2 or 3 of the other guys that she was hooking up like you. My question is what the fuck do I do now? I want to keep her. Well, nothing. She dumped you. There's nothing to do. It takes 2 to make a relationship work. And this particular girl has completely stopped all forward movement. She said, you're out of here, pal. And your attitude was, hey, I'd like to keep working on things. She's like, no. And so your attitude is, hey, give me a call if you change your mind. And you leave the door open that way. And then you go on about your life because your attitude should be, hey, it's her loss. And you really feel that way. He says, I know I can't chase and I shouldn't contact her, but I don't know that I'll be able to hold out for more than 3 weeks to a month. Well, you better, because if you keep calling her and chasing her and pursuing her like a stalker, I promise you, you'll never get anywhere with that kind of behavior. When a woman dumps you, you don't keep pursuing somebody. Let me think about that for a second. She doesn't want to keep you anymore. She drove to your office and handed you your stuff, dude. And she said, I don't have time to talk. Because the reason she didn't want to talk is because you just had no clue. You had no idea what was going on. And that was definitely what her Facebook post about, which was, I'm so glad to be done with those sentimental fucks who think this means that. In other words, I'm so glad that I'm no longer dating guys who don't understand how attraction works and can't tell when I'm really into them or not. My plan is that if I don't hear from her by then, to text her and try to get her to meet up for a drink and then apologize for putting so much pressure on her and try to get things back to normal. Absolutely not. Go on about your life. She says I'm out of here, and your attitude should be like, hey, you're not going to say it, but don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out, sweetheart. Give me a call when you change your mind. I mean, you're not going to say it that way, but you say, hey, give me a call if you change your mind. I'd love to hang out. And your attitude should always be that way. And so if you hear from her 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months from now, whatever it happens to be, you just be like, hey, great to hear from you. We should get together. When are you free to meet up for a drink? Great. And then you make definite plans, and great, I'll see you then. And then you get off the phone. You got to give her time to come back to you. The reason she dumped you is because you pursued her too much. So doing more of what got you dumped to the point where she didn't want anything to do with you, it makes absolutely no fucking sense in the world to go back and do something that got you rejected. I mean, think about what you're saying that you're contemplating doing, dude. It's just a bad way to go. So he says, Coach, please reach through the internet and bitch slap me and tell me not to be a needy little girl and stay strong. Is my plan any good? No, your plan is bullshit. It totally sucks ass and it won't work. Don't do nothing. You got dumped. She doesn't want to keep you. It takes 2 to make the relationship work. You said, I want to work on it. She said no. You're like, give me a call if you change your mind. And then that's it. Go about your life. And if she ever changes her mind, she'll call you. And when she calls you to say, hey, I was just calling to say hello, it's not why she's calling you. She's calling because she's hoping you want to get together and you'll create an opportunity for sex to happen. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. That's all you need to do. You should look at it, if she ever does contact you, it's simply a long delay in between dates. But you may never hear from this girl again because it sounds like she was pretty much disgusted with you and she doesn't want anything to do with you. He says, I also intend to keep rereading your book during this off time, and I just don't know what I can do other than walk away and never look back. That's pretty much it, dude. You fucked it up. Suck it up. Man up. And say, you'll do better next time. Just don't do this thing next time. If you hear from her, make a date to hang out, have fun, and hook up. So if you want to get my help right away, the quickest way to get my help is go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a paid phone coaching session. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook on my website, underneath the email sign-up box, there's a box that has a link that will take you to the Amazon Kindle download page for my book. Once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my book on. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, and my ebook, you can go to my website right now, and on the Wibia toolbar at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.